あれはスパイク。かっこいいだろ。でも背が大きくないと打てないから。
じゃあネットを下げればいい。最初こそまずはできる喜びじゃないかい。好きこそものの上手だねってな。
There was a moment in Tetsuro Kuro's early childhood that changed his life forever. It wasn't anything monumental, no glimpse at a prodigy in flight, no beautiful sight to behold. In fact, it sprung from something mundane, a simple recreational practice session for kids. But the fact that this mundanity led to something so unexpectedly beautiful is a big part of what bewitched Kuro. Here, he experienced a moment of flight, where the entire world felt like it was at his fingertips. And that came from him simply learning what it felt like to succeed at something, how beautiful and free it felt. From this moment, Kuro was enraptured, and Nekomata-sensei instilled that in him.
ほんの小さな出来事だ。でもクロはこの日を忘れないんじゃないかなってなんとなく思った。
This joy of flight stuck with Kuro on that day, and from then on, he internally, maybe subconsciously, decided that he desired to share that joy with everyone. Why keep it to himself? How much better would the world be if they learned of the beauty of volleyball? It was simply so wonderful that he felt that everyone should feel what he did. And so, he began sharing this journey and his love for it with Kenma. Not to force him, as he is crystal clear that he would never force anyone to do something they don't want to do, but to allow him to feel joy because he knew he would like it and find fulfillment from it. And he translates this want to share it with Kenma to a desire to help others appreciate it too. His school, his friends, his community, the world. Kuro loves volleyball. He thinks of it as a miracle, and he wants to share the beauty of that miracle through carrying the torch from Nekomata. Now, of course, to feel the absolute most you can feel from the sport, you have to compete at the highest level. And improvement, hard work, blood and sweat and tears are necessary to do that. It is incredibly difficult, and nothing beautiful comes easy. But that's what makes it rewarding when you do put in the work and continue to succeed at different heights. And helping others to put in that work due to their love for it is what Kuro adores beyond words. Tetsuro Kuro is the spirit of volleyball personified, so full of joy and passion and love, and more than anyone full of a desire to share that love. He doesn't necessarily want to be the best, and he doesn't even seem to hold huge ambitions of making it as a professional in the way that Hinata, Kageyama, Hoshiumi, Ushijima, Oikawa, or Atsumu do. He just exudes community, common cause, kinship, friendship, connection, and a love shared through sport. Kuro is the literal only character in the story that plays on a team that Karasuno faced that I don't consider an antagonist, and that's because to me, Kuro never really feels like an antagonist. He wants to win, of course, but even when facing his friends and opposition, he is always pushing, encouraging, trying to get both sides to become stronger to make that battle even more beautiful. And to me, that support and mentorship supersedes his role as an antagonist. In the training camps, he helps mentor Suki and becomes a sort of master to him, despite him being on a rival team. Because learning to work hard at something rewarding, reaping those rewards, and succeeding and expressing, and then being able to do that even more due to your success, that's something that everyone should know the joy of feeling, just like Nekomata taught him. And so he does it with his teammates, and Bokuto, and Suki, and Karasuno as a whole. Because Karasuno not being a great team does nothing for Nekoma outside of Schadenfreude, and there's no honest love in that. To Kuro, Karasuno being mediocre does absolutely nothing for the relationships and rivalries carried into the present by his wonderful mentor and coach, nor for Nekoma, nor for the people he cares about, the friends he's made on all sides. The rich history of the battle at the garbage dump, how important it was for it to come to fruition, facing one another at nationals. That was the goal, and for that, both teams needed to be great. And that's what happened, thanks in no small part to Kudo and the bonds that he fostered. It feels a bit silly to say, but from a certain point of view, the match between Karasuno and Nekoma in the final 16 at nationals was, in a way, inconsequential. Only in a way. Of course, there is always a winner and always a loser, and the series nails home how essential it is to stay on the court and keep playing in this beautiful paradise, and this led to such monumental moments for Karasuno after they won this. But 60 years down the line, none of these players lounging around, talking to their grandchildren will be bothered about who won. They'll instead be talking about how that match happened in the first place, how old rivalries were rekindled, how Nekomata and Grandpa Ukai were able to fulfill their promise thanks to their students, how it was an encapsulation of the bond and relationship between both schools that fostered a turning point for both communities and several players. They'll be talking about how that match, and everyone who was a part of it in any way, shape, or form, was a celebration of sport. A true triumph and advocation of connections, within and outside of volleyball. So in a way, while both teams were here to win nationals, they were each fighting a different battle than the rest of the teams. And that battle was ensuring that this match happened on the grandest stage. The rivalry and friendly competition they fostered in the series thus far, the journey was the victory. The way that old rivalries left abandoned were rejuvenated, old connections reformed, and the way that new friendships were struck up to carry forward. This was a privilege to witness and take part in. This was a display of the beauty of volleyball. And the fact that Suki, who had recently doubted whether volleyball even had a place in his life, found himself feeling so much and expressing such joy is a testament to all that it represents. It's cliché, but this match wasn't about who won, because both teams had won at this point, and now it was just time to celebrate and express the bond between two friends. But one thing was left. Absolutely everyone had to feel that love. Everyone. And one person had not fully joined in yet.
バレエ好き？
別になんとなくやってる。嫌いじゃないけど疲れるのとかは好きじゃないけど友達がやってるし俺いないと多分困るし。
好きになったらもっと楽しいと思うけどな。
いいよ、どうせ高校の間やるだけだし。
This was Kudo's greatest challenge. He had helped Suki to reach that point, a seemingly impossible task of lowering the net for him. He had helped carry Nekoma, Fukurodani, and Karasuno to nationals, fulfilled his coach's dream, assisted his underclassmen, and been the ideal captain all the while having the fun that he signed up for in the first place. But even still, his greatest friend and partner still didn't love volleyball, still didn't have wholehearted fun while playing it. Kenma clearly harbored a passion and joy for it deep down, and that's why he worked at it and kept up with it and was so enthusiastic in moments. But Kudo couldn't help but feel that he had one final task incomplete in his role as the most avid sharer of the joy of volleyball. The most important person to him didn't feel how he felt about it. Not quite. He had shared this joy with everyone, but Kenma hadn't fully received it. And what's important is that Kudo knew that he could be receptive to it, otherwise he wouldn't try. And so he needed a little help from an absolute aberration and monster to get him over the line. Throughout the match, Hinata and Kenma push each other beyond the brink, calculating, strategizing, pushing, expressing, taunting, back and forth. In the greatest boss fight of his life, Kenma was pushed further than he'd ever been by his friend, and no one in the world could have gotten to him quite in this way. No one except Hinata could have helped Kenma to reach the heights of experience in the way that he did. But likewise, he would never have approached those heights without Kuro.
楽しい。
And once Kenma finally got to the point where he could wholeheartedly say that he loved volleyball, was having such fun that he never wanted it to end, at that point, Kuro had reached the precipice. Everything was in place. No lingering regrets. His high school volleyball career was effectively fulfilled. And all that was left was to play some volleyball. And how appropriate was it for the deciding point to be dictated not by a moment of brilliance, but by this specific misfortune. By sweat that had accumulated on the ball and on Kenma's fingertips, proof of Kenma's extreme hard work as the result of the passion he felt. What decided this match that was joy and celebration encapsulated was the manifestation of Kenma's joy and celebration. How more appropriate could the crowning moment of a match representing the beauty of sharing the joy of volleyball be than through giving such joy to someone who didn't really think that he'd be able to feel these things? Volleyball is love, passion, sweat, and flight, but most of all, it is celebration. Celebration about the beauty of rivalries, shared passions, and sport. And that is what Karasuno vs. Nekoma represents. Many thanks for watching.
面白かった。クロ、俺にバレーボールを教えてくれてありがとう。